Minecraft used to be a genuine cultural phenomenon. It's still big now, don't get me wrong, but in the early 2010s, everyone knew somebody or was somebody with a zip-up creeper hoodie. After the release of Peakcraft the movie, starring Thomas Jacob Black, I decided I would do my own little Minecraft project. We'll be looking at classic servers, nostalgic maps, as well as anecdotes of my own experiences. Let's start things off by going over the event which made me quit the game entirely. Come sit by the fire, and let me tell you tales of my days as a mere tadpole. When I played Minecraft in the early 2010s, I was lucky enough to have a group of friends that also played on PC. We had the main players, being Nikki, Tommy, Joey, myself, and a couple others that joined every once in a while. Minecraft was the game at the time, so it's really all we played. We hopped across versions, servers, and game modes like nobody's business, until finally settling down on a little survival faction server called Legendary Wars. This server was our life over the time we played it. We talked about it at school, we were on it daily while lagging out on Skype calls. It just completely consumed our lives for a while. I've even still got the sole remaining video evidence of the server. Check it out.
This is showdown, so I died.
Even on days where we didn't really want to play, we still stood guard to fend off raids in our underground bases. I've got a distinct memory of a time when we all logged on after school, and there were people actively inside our base raiding us. We fought them off, but had to pack up shop and move after that. The server also had a mega donor who would frequently host drop parties in Spawn, dumping out stacks of diamonds, golden apples, and experience. Absolute gangster shit. On the other hand, there was another mega donor who was the complete inverse of that. We all knew this dude by name, and he was legitimately our nemesis. He raided us multiple times, blew up our shit, and was basically unkillable due to having Protection 40 Supreme Donor Diamond Armor. Complete menace. We were on this server for months back in 2014, with no end in sight. Every day on it was a new adventure. A new story to tell, a new thing to build. That was until, one day, out of the blue, it no longer existed. It was just gone, wiped away. We looked to see if it had changed names or if it was just down for maintenance, but as we soon found out, it had simply shut its doors. It's been so long now that none of us can even remember why they closed. But after this, that was pretty much it for our time in Minecraft. The shutdown was such a massive blow to us that there was no next server. No moving on to another adventure. It was over. After this, we moved on to more badass games like Payday 2. Back at the beginning, I mentioned our friend Joey. He was actually the one who recorded that clip I played from the server. Well, after the server went down and we moved on, so did Joey. That was our last big excursion with him. It went from this, where we played every day, to never playing anything, basically overnight. Once we entered high school, just a short while later, he stopped showing up and we never really saw him again. We just sort of drifted apart. We still see posts from him every now and then though, and he seems to be doing alright. I still think sometimes at just how impactful one single Minecraft server can be. It held a friend group together like super glue, created countless memories, and upon shutting down, in a weird way, it created a butterfly effect that helped lead me to where I am today, at least in some measure. After quitting, we branched out into new games, new communities, met new people and friends, lost one of our good ones, and all of that is, at least partially, because of one single Minecraft server. While pretty much any and all servers I played on as a kid are long gone now, thousands, possibly tens of thousands of servers remain up from before even when I started playing. One of the most interesting aspects of Minecraft is that even the most obscure, weird, random-ass 2011 survival server might still have 2 or 3 people chilling in it at any time. There's really not many games like that. Maybe Roblox and a handful of others. Now, while the servers I used are gone, there still exist many classic servers from that era which have equally interesting stories. For this section, we'll be taking a bit of a deep dive into a couple servers I found, one creative and one survival. We'll be looking at their maps, their histories, and more. The first one we'll be checking out is the creative server. It's called Sneyersul and has been around since 2012, just a few years after the game launched. Now, I pretty much always love looking at old creative maps. They give a pretty good insight into trends in pop culture at the time. They're sort of like constantly expanding time capsules. This one starts you off in a room full of people important to the server, and right in the middle, one of their regulars left a message to them. If anyone does come here to read this, I just want you to know, the last several years of being in this server had given me a lot of joy, friendships and memories I would not have traded for the world. To Pat, Jack, Redbin, Lily, Joel, Zig, Sierra, and all the others. Thank you for everything. I love you guys. Vita. The sentiment is shared amongst most of us. Synchro. Right outside of this is a grave for the server itself. I think this is to remember their survival and skyblock servers, which were turned off years ago. I read that at one point they were planning to take down everything, including this, but some kind of agreement was reached and they kept up the creative as a compromise. Their other servers were turned off though, those are long gone. The actual creative zone is pretty interesting. It's got some massive and finely crafted buildings and art pieces. You can definitely tell it's from the early 2010s though, due to the abundance of My Little Pony, Adventure Time, and Troll Face pixel art. Although it does have a pretty distinct lack of Epic Face. Patorique. SpongeBob. I didn't stick around for too long on this one. It wasn't a huge server, so the plots became pretty empty pretty early on. I did, however, check out their website. We're bringing back a true classic segment for this video called Looking at Old Websites, Chat Rooms, and Reddits for Interesting Things, or Laucrarfit for short. One of the first things here was a post by the owner, and from that I saw that he hasn't been online in around 2 years. I understand staff going MIA, but owners just disappearing is always strange to me. Also on their forums was a video tab. A good 90% of them are private or removed, but there were a few interesting finds here. It's mostly children doing Let's Plays of the server in like 2014.
I haven't named this yet, but looking around the Sneyersul.
Oh my god.
It is one of my signature games.
There was also someone who dug up their old Minecraft parody song, which was about the server.
Get up out the way! 2 more!
That's enough of that. Their Planet Minecraft page also has some links to projects that were built on the server, and there's some pretty cool stuff up on there. By far the most interesting thing on the site was a map archive of one they used from 2012 to 2013. This file is older than most Minecraft players. I think you can guess that I pretty much instantly downloaded that and fired it up. I think I may have accidentally stumbled across an incredibly important piece of Minecraft history on this. It was a film set where a group was planning to recreate the Gangnam Style music video in Minecraft. They had a similar side area to do a Harlem Shake video as well. Tragically, I couldn't find either of these online, and trust me, I looked. Since it was a personal download, I had free reign to look at any diaries I came across. I uncovered some deep, dark secrets, such as this one here. I'm feeling much better, like a boost has gone through me. I fall like I could rule the world. My testosterone also boosted, wink. Do you believe at Herobrine? And remember, he always watching you. Go in, I do. Down here quick, or else Herobrine will get you. Fuck. You little scumbag. You motherfucker. There was also a friggin' weird thing where people kept calling gold stuff butter for some reason. I mean, just what the heck is that about? Who would say such an absurd thing? There's some other mildly interesting things, but mostly basic builds. A lot of big bases, old memes, giant avatars, and stuff like that you've likely seen before. It is cool to know that all of this was 100% made over 12 years ago. The second one we're looking at is called Noobstown, and it's a bit bigger compared to Sneyersul. It's been around since 2011, and usually has a couple people hanging out. Initially, I thought this would be a pretty quick wrap-up, as nothing was here, but it turns out it was just a really wide protected area around the spawn. I knew I was in for a treat once I found Fred's Rare Wares. The experience on this one was pretty unique compared to most other survival servers. It was the first server I've ever seen to require players to purchase land they want to use for any reason. No digging up dirt, chopping down trees, or even mowing lawns until you call your real estate agent. Every single person on here has their purchased areas marked off with matching stone slab outlines. It's definitely something. As the name implies, this server is trying to be a place for new players. It wasn't a PvP faction raiding type survival, but one where people could claim some plots and just build things freely without having to worry about getting nuked. A town for noobs, you could say. There were some cool builds here too. I was just walking around and found a big ancient Egypt looking structure. It also had a dispenser full of cooked fish by the door, free for anyone to use. What a gamer. I took several $1,000s of bluefin tuna and moved on. The server also had an add-on called Townie, which basically lets a bunch of players start up little cities that they can then open up to the public. I checked out a few of these, and they were pretty cool. The first one I tried was called Ice Haven. This one instantly gets some points for having a note block song play whenever you teleport to it. There was no limits for this, and I overlapped it about 40 times. It was hell. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again. The next town, Gallifrey, was Doctor Who themed, and also apparently had a population of over 100 people. It was just kind of a normal town with a giant TARDIS in the center. The double take I did gave me whiplash when I was watching some old videos about the server, and one was a couple guys doing a podcast in this town back in 2014.
We run a town.
It's a great town.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Were you aware?
Somewhat.
It's a fictional town.
Oh, I knew it was fictional.
It takes place on Minecraft.
I love Minecraft.
More importantly, noobstown.com.
Seeing that was like time traveling back a decade. It was freaky. The actual official channel of Noobstown has a ridiculous amount of trailers and clips from the server as well. You can basically piece together the entire server's history from the stuff they've posted. I kind of love old school Minecraft cinematic trailers. They've always got real slow painting, kino shots, and epic captions about becoming a legend, all while the footage itself is 480p Minecraft gameplay with like 90 ping. The most important thing I found, by far, was the server's official, original theme song they had made.
If you wanna stay, okay. If you wanna go, it's alright. Everything will be right here waiting for you.
This song was made almost 12 years ago, but the lyrics about everything still being there, waiting for anyone who comes back, are true. Everything is still there, exactly as it was. It's kind of crazy. Now, I've got a bit of a big shocking revelation here, being that the two servers we looked at today were basically just the first ones I found. I didn't sift through 50 pages of servers looking for prime content. I just found a couple and jumped right in. Even then, these random-ass servers both held deep, long histories. Countless forum posts, hundreds of videos, and thousands of former players. I really only scratched the surface of what's available on them. It's honestly hard to comprehend just how much Minecraft stuff there is online. It would take weeks, if not months, to fully go over the maps, forum posts, and videos from even a handful of servers. The beginning mentioned that the fellas and I mainly played Legendary Wars. Well, we also dabbled in minigame servers from time to time. Here's a video from 2013, my friend recorded on his iPod Touch of us playing Minecraft Hunger Games. What a throwback. Let's take a look at how some of these modes are doing today. Survival Games is probably one of the biggest modes to ever hit Minecraft. It was based off the Hunger Games, which was peaking around the same time as Minecraft, leading to this mode's massive popularity. I don't know how many other people this goes for, but they had us reading the Hunger Games in school. That's how big it was. I gotta say though, it was pretty cool to play what basically is just the Hunger Games, but in Minecraft. I remember when this originally launched, and most of the games didn't even have a persistent lobby. You just join into a server through a weird IP like MinecraftHungerGamesFree.com, played a match, and when you died, you got booted out of it completely. Gameplay-wise, this shit was the original Fortnite. It's a battle royale where anywhere from like 10 to 30 people have to gather loot and murder the opposition in some pretty sprawling maps, which have a glass dome that is constantly shrinking. We absolutely ate this shit up. It was like crack to 12-year-olds. I've looked at this map previously on the channel, and there's not much else I have to add. It's the original Survival Games map though, and I've gotta mention it here. If you played this mode back when it was big, chances are you know this map. I did find one thing of note, that being that the creator of this map tried to, or did, sell it as an NFT a few years ago. How does that even work? I thought Survival Games 2 was lost, but luckily I managed to find it. I've got a ton of nostalgia for this one, but never got to play it that much. It's a big post-apocalyptic city map with all kinds of overgrown skyscrapers, government buildings, banks, and apartments. Compared to the relatively bland forest of the original map, this was a massive leap. I really love the visuals, but as sick as this one is, I can also absolutely see why it wasn't played very much. It's way too cluttered, too vertical, and too big. The first one was just a funny forest island with the occasional secret cave. This one has multiple 5 to 10 story buildings to climb, and a shitload of vines to get on top of skyscrapers too. Still really cool. Probably terrible to play, but cool. Breeze Island was a pretty small map for servers with less players. It was all one tiny desert island with a handful of POIs out into ocean. It's basically the polar opposite of the last map. This one is so small that you can see the entire playable area from a vantage point, and most of that is just water. Still a fun map though, and I definitely remember playing matches on it. I tried out a handful of servers that had the mode, or said they had the mode, but not a single person was playing it. Some servers also seemed to have straight up retired and removed it. Eventually, I came across the IP to a server which I think is one of the classic, if not the classic survival game servers from back in 2012, called MC Gamer Network. I wouldn't be surprised if I played this before. I plopped the IP into my game, but it didn't work. Double checking on the website, I noticed a banner at the top saying that the servers are offline and that the page remains up, basically just for memories and forum posts, with a warning that at any time the website could go down. I checked the news tab to see if there was more info about this, but their final post there is one saying that they were happy to see the server doing well and hope to keep up the momentum in 2020. I think the server shut down, like, literally a month later. There's a comment in here from an ex-mod saying that they're glad to see the server still doing well, and someone replied basically saying, "The server's shutting down, like, right now, dude. LMAO, what are you talking about, bro?" Back in its prime, though, this seemed to be a pretty big community. It's time for a good old-fashioned Laukrarfit. Their website has a few links to their official YouTube channel, which has a bunch of 2D animations, mostly about the server. It's pretty neat. The first one I found was a guide on how to play survival games, which was fully animated. They didn't have to do that, but they did. Cool. I think I'm past the view 16-year-old me had of, oh, ew, Minecraft animation? Get that shit out of my face. And I can just appreciate the work that went into this. I guess the server was also big enough to have their own dedicated Reddit page. There's nothing too crazy on it, except for the full iceberg chart made about the server. I'll cover this right after I finish the Disturbing Games iceberg. Wrapping back to the forums on the site, the guy that made Breeze Island was just casually chilling right around when the shutdown was happening. There was also some veteran players not casually chilling, but rather telling full stories of their time on the server, going over their time from the early 2010s until it shut down, talking about friends they made and how it impacted them personally. There's some really heartfelt and sincere stories in here for what was essentially just a minigame server. Now, while survival games probably still has a community or two out there, the days of this being a massive thing are far in the past at this point. It kind of sucks to see because this was one of my go-to modes as a kid, and it looks like now it's pretty much abandoned. Cops and Robbers. I have zero actual server experience with this one, but I have played it, briefly. One of our acquaintances was addicted to tuber videos on this mode, and really wanted us to try it. He basically forced everyone to hop on his shoddy Hamachi server, and it was the worst, most scuffed experience of all time. It took like an hour to set up, we were all lagging, people were cheating, and it turns out we were not as comedic haha funny as the tubers we watched play it. We did not touch it again. I found the original map for it that blew up back then. It's really oddly specific, but it only really fully clicked that this was the map when I saw this staircase here. It's burned into my mind because we just damage boosted up it and skipped like half the map. It's a pretty simple map, all things considered. It's kind of crazy how big it got. I can't imagine playing this on a public server with just text chat and most of the players being children. It gives me a headache just thinking about it. We're going to wrap up the minigames section by having a look at a real classic called The Walls. I wasn't even sure this mode existed. I thought I made it up because I misremember the name as being Foursquare. I even drew it in MS Paint just so I wouldn't forget what it looked like. Turns out, I am not crazy, and it was actually pretty popular too. The mode has 4 teams, divided by, you guessed it, some big old walls in the center of the map. The teams have to race against the clock to gather supplies, weapons, and build fortifications, as once the timer reaches 0, the walls fall, and it's a PvP deathmatch. Pretty cool idea for a mode. I remember playing this near release, and teams were always packed. Each quadrant had like 10 people gathering shit and building little forts. It was a lot of fun. I guess someone on the Minecraft marketplace agrees, since the mode has basically been yoinked and sold on there. No idea if this has permission? Probably not. I misremembered the gameplay as well. I thought each team had a unique biome they started in, but here there's 4 of the exact same thing in each square. Other than that though, it's exactly as I pictured it. I looked for the Walls servers, but didn't really find them, until I put together that this map was made by Hypixel, and that's like one of the biggest Minecraft servers. So I had to look for it there. Out of 35,000 people that were on at the time, a solid 0 of them were playing the Walls. I waited in the lobby for a bit, even though it was kind of pointless since this needs 8 players at the minimum to start up. My buddy Henry joined for a few minutes, shout out to Henry, and then left. I waited out the full lobby time just to see if anyone would join, but it seemed like nobody was going to show. If there was anywhere that I could have played the walls, this would have been it. I lost hope pretty quickly. Every now and then, one person would join and then leave shortly after. But I stuck around, and eventually, they didn't leave. There were 2, then 3, then 5, then 7, and then finally, we had enough to go. You indeed heard that correctly. I got into a The Walls match in 2025. I have no idea if that's actually impressive, but it was to me. I got right to work on gathering some supplies, and managed to get myself a full iron loadout with time to spare. Once the walls dropped, I booked it straight for the center, forgot you can't just spam attack in PvP anymore, and died instantly in my first encounter. I, as can be put together by now, if you've watched my videos, was a dumb little shit. Due to this lack of brain functionality, I thought installing mods was black magic techno wizardry. This was until one fateful day where I was at some random kid's house who I didn't know, haven't seen since, I don't even know why I was there, and he showed me how mods are installed. Also during that night, I got my face smashed with a Wiimote and it legit messed up my teeth. Those are the only 2 memories I have of that day. I don't even know that kid's name. The Aether is one of those mods where you just go, how have they not just added this to the real game? It first started as a rumor after the Nether was added, being an opposite realm of sky islands you could reach by creating a glowstone portal. After that, a handful of mods to bring these rumors to life sprung up. The one we're looking at here is genuinely iconic, one of the most popular Minecraft mods of all time. The dude behind it was even hired to work at Mojang. That's how big this is. Now I'll be honest here and say that despite its popularity, I don't have a ton of experience with it. By that, I mean, I think I played this like once. It definitely left an impact though, and it's too iconic not to discuss. Actually getting into the mod itself, it's quite a sight. There's quests to do, lore to find, and a wide variety of new mobs. I'm pretty sure this is an updated version of the mod, not whatever the base version was back in like 2012, but again, I only played that like once, so I couldn't list out the differences anyways. You can definitely tell that this is a mod from the early 2010s though, as its custom music kits play some pretty slick dubstep beats. Overall, it's a pretty good mod to add onto a save if you just want a little bit more to do in the endgame. It really feels like it's part of the base experience. We've got another iconic Minecraft marketplace moment with this one, as a few years back, an Aether Dimension add-on was released for like $10. It had 0 permission from the original creator, so they simply changed it from Aether Dimension to Ether Dimension. Epic. That's all they changed. One of the most interesting parts of the Aether is the myths and legends behind it. I went down a bit of a rabbit hole looking for the origin point of Aether rumors because I don't think that it's documented like anywhere, really. I found a few threads on the Minecraft forums from late 2010, just after the Nether was added, which discussed the idea of the Aether. This obviously isn't the only discussion forum for Minecraft, but this isn't like a super duper deep dive. I found a few posts from November of 2010 talking specifically about the idea of the Aether. They both list a lot of the things that would later make it into the mod, such as a glowstone portal, some of the mobs, and other general ideas. The earliest post I could find was from the day after the Nether update released, suggesting a floating island realm called the Aether. I guess this guy got his wish. I also saw that in December of 2010, just a few months after the Nether released, a channel called PixelKids released a teaser trailer for an Aether mod. To my knowledge, this is the first attempt at one, even if it was never released, which is pretty neat. Tekkit. This right here is essentially Minecraft for people with engineering doctorates. I always tried to get into Tekkit and other mod packs like it as a kid, thinking I could just breeze through them without a guide. I thought I would just hop on and be some kind of savant. Not once did this ever end up happening. I tried out Tekkit Classic for this, and I knew I was in for a rough time when it started me off with a 546-page book full of recipes and guides. I think this is also just for one of the many mods included in this mod pack. Again, you need a goddamn PhD to play this. The mod pack itself, jokes aside, is an industrialized version of Minecraft. You can set up factories, make cool stuff like power drills, jetpacks, nuclear reactors, and overall become quite the mad scientist. I set myself up a nice little $90 billion dark matter generator, which powers my floor TV that will play fail army clips for 7 hours a day. The one major flaw Tekkit has, along with pretty much every other mod pack, but especially these tech ones, is that a ton of items overlap, and a lot of things that seem compatible with one another just aren't. due to being from different base mods. That's all I really have to say about Tekkit though. Again, I was never really smart or patient enough to learn it, so there's no crazy wacky stories to tell with it. Next. Hexxit is about as complex as Tekkit, but with a fantasy theme rather than scientific. I've actually played this one a decent bit too, since the goal for most of it is just to kill shit and get loot. It's been quite a while though, and going into it I wasn't even 100% sure that I was thinking of the right mod pack. That was until I saw the Towers of Power that were just spammed across the map. I definitely remember climbing and facing the big Cyclops boss on top of these, which then nukes the whole tower, and you gotta make a quick exit. It's pretty cool. The thing about Hexxit is that there genuinely might be too much shit. Every 10 feet there's a new building, mob, or biome, and for gear there is literally pages upon pages upon pages of different swords, spears, and guns and shit. It basically turns the game into Terraria with the amount of items there are. And if you're playing something like Texit, which combines Tekkit and Hexxit, that list gets substantially bigger. I guess I didn't play this for super long, because I had no idea that there's a bunch of other realms you can visit. The Aether mod might have an inverse nether, but does it have Candyland? Didn't think so. And that's one of like 30 different realms to visit. Candyland! Let's go! I love Candyland! If I were to comprehensively cover every little bit of this mod pack, we would genuinely be here for like 8 hours. So, let's move on. I love Candyland! I never want to leave! Voltz is a mod pack which is kinda like Tekkit, but focused more on weapons and warfare. Rather than a nice production line to refine jewels and gems, you can make antimatter ICBMs. The version I'm playing here is called Amps, which is just a more modern version of it. Unlike Tekkit, you don't actually have to be smart to enjoy this one. You can hop in creative and just blow stuff up. There is some science stuff you can do, like setting up nuclear reactors, but by now you know I did not do that. I decided I would spice things up a little, and tried out their pre-installed official server that they have running. If you could imagine, 0 people were on it. Doing this was one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had in Minecraft. Despite being a tech mod, the server had a pretty bare-bones spawn area and just lets you wander off into the woods. The first thing I noticed here is that the sound design is sick. It's going for realism, and it adds a lot to the atmosphere. Things were pretty barren outside of the spawn for a while. The map was basically untouched. Eventually I came across some subtle signs of human life. A crafting table was placed in the wild, and later I stumbled upon a small outpost. I took a few basic supplies and continued on. Just as a reminder, this was supposed to be a science-heavy, war-themed mod pack, and all I've seen so far are specks of evidence that human life once existed here. After more exploration, I came across the likely culprit of the desolation. A thermonuclear bomb that turned this area into a deserted wasteland. I stood atop the edge of the massive crater, staring down into the eyes of hell itself. PIXELMON. Now this is a huge one. I've got a lot to say about PIXELMON. We're gonna swap over from modded gameplay to that classic vanilla experience. This time I felt like having a look back at my earliest points playing Minecraft. Now I don't exactly remember when I was introduced to it. It may have been playing Xbox 360 edition at a neighbor's house, or through Pocket Edition Lite, or something else. I only really remember the tutorial world with the big Minecraft logo on 360, and that Pocket Edition used to be super bare bones, like barely even a game. Either way, I very soon after forced my parents to purchase it for me on PC, like the good little consumer zoomer I am. I think it was around when Jungles were released. I do like the simplicity of older Minecraft quite a bit. It's gained a sort of mystique about it in recent years, which I find kind of odd because it's not that different. People saying that it's objectively better, which I'm not here to argue for or against. There's also been an uptick in posts and shit about Minecraft like secretly being a horror game, and all I can think about when I hear that is the SpongeBob roller coaster bit. Like, come on guys. I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy who ain't afraid of nothing, but seriously? I played a fair amount of regular single-player survival back then, and by fair amount, I mean so much that I am still burnt out on it to this day. I haven't touched base survival a single time since 2013. I wish I still had the world because it was pretty cool. I had a big jungle base with connecting tree forts and a big quarry in the middle. I'm a big fan of deforestation and displacing local wildlife. After my little survival run, the fellas and I began our multiplayer adventures, and we all know how that ended. YouTubers. What's up with these guys? It would be kind of crazy to just act like these weren't a massive part of Minecraft's success. With that said, I won't be naming anyone specific here, simply because I don't want a flood of comments of people saying like, bro forgot the Minecraft Joe 99. Skull emoji. I also just don't remember most of them by name. One of the most interesting parts about Minecraft is how such a simple game can create such an incredibly wide variety of content. There were people that made millions of dollars by screaming, incredible builders and redstone creators, chill dudes just playing survival, mod creators, mod reviewers, animators, and many more types of videos on top of all of that. Every single one of these people owe their lives to the GOAT, Kevin MacLeod. I think it's probably safe to say that Minecraft has like the most videos on it out of any game ever made. I would be remiss not to mention the insane amount of Minecraft parody songs. We had a kid sing one of these at a talent show one year. I'm not going to bash the songs, nor am I going to say, oh my god, these are such bangers. Or you're asking, is he being ironic? Is he not? I'm simply indifferent to them. But I know they take a lot of time and effort to write, record, and produce, and I respect that. I'd be willing to put money on a handful of these being bigger than the original songs, or at least comparable. Now, I'll be candid, okay? I'll be honest, full transparency. You know me, the Mr. Transparent. 10-year-old me may have purchased a couple of these off iTunes in 2012 for $1.99 each. Speaking of child me, though, I had to look back at a handful of creators I used to watch. No absolutely massive ones, just some of the more underground tubers. Every single one that I checked had either vanished, retired, or in a few cases, straight up deleted most or all of their videos. It's their stuff, so completely their choice to like delete it. They don't owe anyone anything, but man, it was kind of a bummer. It was another reminder that just like some of these servers, some of these forums and websites, nothing online is guaranteed to be there when you get back. The overall message to take away from this video is to enjoy the things you have while they're still here. On the internet, games, and life in general. There is a near endless amount of things online you will never see. Stories of people, friendship, humanity. And all of it means something to someone. And sometimes means quite a lot. Memories of anger, joy, and sorrow. While this video is about Minecraft, the message applies universally to all online spaces. In time, possibly soon, possibly after many years, these websites, forums, and servers will be seen a final time before they're shut off. This is the plight of the digital age. Once it's on the internet, it is not there forever.